This devotion is based on Revelation 13, and well done if you've been following along. You are now well and truly in the back half of the book. And this chapter, towards the end, has this whole thing of the mark of the beast, which, if you're like me and grew up in the church, it was a huge thing. It's been a huge thing. On your forehead, on your wrist, there's going to be this mark, and all the talk about the computer chip technology and the bank card with the B's making 666 and all this kind of thing, and the huge movement coming up saying refuse the mark, refuse the mark. So the question is this future, or had it already happened? A lot of the evidence in the chapter as a whole lends itself so much to events that have happened well before our time, in fact quite contemporary to the writing with John. But as always with Revelation, it's a mix of both. I will come back to the whole mark of the beast thing towards the end. But differentiating between what is symbolic and what is literal is always helpful in interpretation here, because you can take too many things literal and get off on the wrong tangent. So it starts with the beast coming out of the sea, and this is very symbolic. Anything that comes out of the sea ain't good. And the beast ain't good. It's a beast that's given great authority. The horns, the heads, the crowns, all symbolize an earthly ruler. And there's this idea that they have a fatal wound and then they've been healed. They sort of, like Jesus, like God. And all the story here really lends itself to the Emperor Nero, who was a contemporary at the time. Then there's another beast, and all these beasts are supported by the dragon, who is Satan. And the beast also is an earthly leader, but they seem to be more of a religious type figure, almost like a false messiah. And this lends itself to the Emperor Domitian, who was around in the time as well. But either way, whether it was then, whether it's since, whether it's future, there will always be leaders who are corrupt in their power. Satan is behind them, and God allows them. In fact, let's just list some characteristics of beast type figures. Number one is they're given authority in the world, and Satan is behind this authority, but God allows the authority, but the sense of over the whole world. Number two is they blaspheme God, and the idea is of the blaspheme is worship me. And there was like that in Roman times. Emperor worship is worship me, bow down to me, follow me, and it's very blasphemous. And number three is they go to war against God's people. In fact, probably more valuable than the whole mark of the beast thing in this chapter is the second half of verse 10, because it applies to us now. It just says there, this calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of God's people. So regardless of the time, we are called, when under pressure from corrupt and satanic leaders, to faithfully endure and remain faithful to Jesus. And just coming back to the mark of the beast, a lot of symbolism around that with the forehead and the wrist. It's a symbolism of slavery and ownership. And it's probably better to look at the symbolism than to get too literal with it. This sense of the opposite of the ownership of God is this ownership of the beast, that people have willingly surrendered themselves to this leader and have become followers of this leader, as opposed to remaining faithful to Jesus. And we are called to remain faithful to Jesus. But have a read and enjoy.